showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
We're delighted to have you with us. They're drive-in theater.
You'll find something to please you to add to your evening's enjoyment.
Is pleased to bring you our feature presentation.
Hello, guys. Yo, what's going on? It's Wednesday.
It's Wednesday.
What day is this even? I don't even know what we do on Wednesdays. It's just feels weird. It's cold.
Once upon a time, there was drive-in Speakerbox Tavern Trivia.
Oh, that's right. We used to do that. I did the Halloween when you were there.
I was there. Yeah. There's a Christmas one coming up?
There is a Christmas one coming up. I'm debating. I was thinking about doing a Thanksgiving one because I bought a 22.5-pound turkey.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. Maybe I'll just show up and we won't even do trivia. I'll just do bingo and an eating challenge and give away a 22-pound turkey. I'll just give away Thanksgiving food all night. We'll have a potluck.
That's
It'll
right,
be fun.
the eating challenge.
Yeah.
I participated in that.
Which one
once
did you
or twice.
do? Was it the circus peanuts?
I had to do the circuit penis.
You did this.
Yeah. Whoa. The circus peanuts.
I like the circuit penis. That makes it sound like there's a championship.
Yeah, it's
involved.
like a race. There's like just a loop track. Yeah.
This Sunday. You'll see him compete in the circuit penis.
The like Mr. Garrison made, right?
Yeah,
As like an alternative to airline travel.
But yeah, the circus peanuts. And then what was the other one?
Those were gross, is the point.
Yeah.
And that's why I was like, never do that again.
More or less gross than a circuit penis?
I don't know. I've only ever had circus peanuts.
Okay.
So I'm going to assume less.
Yeah, I would
but
hope.
They're pretty gross.
I mean, a circuit penis you'd think would get around a lot, so it's probably you don't know where that thing's
making
been.
The route. Yeah. Gross.
But anyway, this is the Drive-In Speakerbox. You are tuned in. We're going to be talking about movies for the next hour and some change. Find us on wherever you find your podcast. You download your podcast if you're listening just to the audio version of this. If you're tuned into the live stream, like Jasper just tuning in, who says he's very confused that this is Wednesday because normally this is Monday. Yep. You can tune in on our live stream on Facebook or YouTube. Just go to those respective website.com/the Drive-In Speakerbox. You can tune in there, join in the chat, share it with your friends and your family and your loved ones. But the reason we're here on a Wednesday is Monday. We had a bit of adverse weather. We had some icy roads, some slick conditions, and it was just not very conducive to coming up here and doing the show, even though we probably would have had the most listeners ever since everybody was sitting at home.
That's true. Well, and for longtime listeners, like our boy Vince out there, more car troubles, too.
Yep. So
I have a new broken car again.
Well, so did I. My starter went out.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
We both had car because we drive big old hoopties because we're not super rich, fancy.
Mine's a pretty rad looking big old hoopty, though. Yeah,
it's true.
Like if you saw it, you'd be like, "Oh, that's a cool car." But like if you know, you'd be like,
"Yeah, what a hoopty!
What a turd!" Yeah.
But no one's ever asking me to take a ride in my hoopty. Everybody's always asking you if they can take a ride in your hoopty.
Hit those mad skeeds.
Your hoopty has turbo.
That's true.
Mine doesn't. Mine just has a very large carrying capacity in the back. So anyway, Jasper on Facebook, he's saying that he had to get a new battery. So
winter sucks.
Yeah, it's just we haven't gotten into that transition yet.
There was no fall.
No,
it didn't exist.
Straight to winter.
Did you see it was colder in Alabama yesterday than it was in Alaska?
Whoa, global warming, you guys. Thanks, Obama. No,
what?
It's just what you say. It's just a thing you say. Speaking of presidents that should go away, not talking about Obama, of course, but the impeachment hearings. That was happening. That was a thing you could watch today.
Oh,
I think it's on Disney Plus, which came out this week. You can tune in to the Trump impeachment hearings.
Straight up, everyone's losing their mind about Mandalorian for some reason.
I know. And so I haven't seen it yet. I was going to watch it this evening when I got home and found somebody's login to use because I'm not giving Disney any more freaking money. Something in the chat?
Johnny just pointed out we're competing with AEW and NXT right now, and this is the first episode of AEW coming back after the pay-per-view.
Is that wrestling stuff?
Hell yeah, that's wrestling stuff. All Elite Wrestling. It is sick.
Is that the new,
Yeah, it's the new with Cody and Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. Well, he can't be called Cody Rhodes anymore because WWE said they own his last name. So he made a wrestling company for himself, and it's called Wednesday Night Dynamite. It's on TNT, WCW, coming back. You can suck it, WWE.
What if he went by another name like Cody Boulevard or Cody Avenues?
No, Cody's working right now.
But I mean, like any other roads, you could, avenues, boulevards, cul-de-sacs.
Set your
Cody Cul-de-sac. I like that name.
Oh yeah.
And then it could be.
And then Jericho, Le Champion, sipping the bubbly. He could come in and say he'd kick him in the cul-de-sac. That'd
That's
be a
right.
good promo.
That would be.
But a dumb name. But it's episode 6
name.
of All Elite Wrestling. And if you have not been watching that is the titties. It is the coolest thing ever right now.
Well,
I'm
that
all
is.
about AE dubs.
Well, we thank everybody that's already tuned in for choosing us.
Set your DVR for that. Watch us now.
And them later. Because you can't chat with them live.
Oh, straight
you
up,
can
you're
do
right.
that with us. We're going to be talking about if you're tuning into the live stream, you can see right here in the background. We're going to be talking about Midway and Dr. Sleep. But just like I knew, he couldn't resist. The grip had to go see. What was it?
Last Christmas.
Christmas.
Well, as soon as you told me that it was nothing but George Michael music and hitting just the soundtrack, the whole movie, I was like, well, gotta be there.
Hey man, I do love me some George Michael.
Yeah.
That is my default. Speaking of songs, Karaoke, our producer here up at the Speaker Labs, he has been drinking Henny over here, V-sopping it up because he's
getting hyped on when I said George Michael soundtrack.
That's one of my favorite artists to sing at karaoke is George Michael.
Is he standing up to do the SNL look at my butt skit? Is that what's going on? Since we're talking about George Michael, you know what I'm talking about?
The look at my butt. Let's see.
Yeah, when Dana Carvey was George Michael.
Oh yeah,
and he had on the jeans. It was like, look at my butt. Yeah.
It was a good butt in the 80s. It was men and women both flocked to see this butt on television.
In the bushes of parks in London.
And restrooms as well. But yeah, George Michael, look at this. The producer of our Toy Labs just pouring more V-sop into he came in here with Look at this. He came in here with
gotta stay warm, bro. It's winter time.
It is winter, and it's chilly up here in the studio. We had to turn the heat on, and nothing says winter like a plastic cup full of very expensive cognac.
Maybe you need a better jacket, bro, because I walked in here, I saw one of the Mortal Kombat ninjas, as we've shown on the show before, and the first thing I thought was, toasty!
I turned the heat on. It's feeling good in here. Anyway, so we're going to be talking about movies tonight.
What are we talking about?
Well, we're talking about everything. We're talking about cognacs. We're talking about life. I mean, really, the Drive-In Speakerbox is about life. It's how Hollywood and cinema and all these things guide us through the world. But The Mandalorian, everybody's been losing their minds about it, and I have not seen it, so I'm going to reserve final judgment until I see it. However,
did you sign up for that Disney Plus?
Hell no! I'm not going to sign up for that bullshit. You crazy?
Did I pay for the live TV version of Hulu? I should just get Disney Plus. That should come with it.
So here's the thing: is everybody's like, it's only $1 more if I get Hulu and Disney Plus together in the combo package. And then once you get it, and you're like, well, I'll just share passwords. That's when I guarantee you, in 2020, that's when all of that password sharing shit's gonna hit a wall.
Already, Hulu don't like that because I have a Hulu app on my phone, and I pay for that good Hulu. You know, I got rid of my cable, and then if I try to watch it on my phone, it's like, are you on your home network, dick? And I'm like, no, dude, what's the point of having mobile if I'm on my fucking home network, man?
Right, I'll watch it on the TV.
Yeah.
They're like, no, you can't do that. You'll have to upgrade to 700 and extra screen bonus package, blah, 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 blah. But, I'm telling you, this password sharing shit is going to go to the wayside here very, very soon. Once they've all got you guys hooked on the service, that's when they're gonna up it. Well, it's like Netflix. When Netflix got everybody hooked on Netflix, and they knew everybody was sharing passwords, but then they were like, hey, for an extra $3 more, you can add 6 different people to your account, and you can sign it up. They know what they're doing, man.
And then your suggested films don't get all messed up. I was letting my family members use my Netflix, and they kept screwing up my list and suggested movies for me, so I forced them into their own accounts on there.
Yeah, it was like all these movies are like, I don't want to watch the Emoji Movie again. I don't want to watch
You get
Last
tired of that?
Christmas.
I would never think I'd hear you say you were tired of the Emoji Movie, bro.
I'll never be tired of making jokes about the Emoji Movie.
You don't want to watch more Late Late Show with James Corden?
No, I don't. I'm good.
He was the voice in that?
I'm good. Where's our emojis? Like, I need to bring those back to the set. Anyway, Disney Plus. Like, the Mandalorian thing, I kind of got a little pissed off because I was reading an interview, and I just assumed this was a show about Boba Fett. Because, I mean, have you seen it?
But Mandalorian's like a whole race and planet of people, so
It's
I
true.
mean, why would it have to be Boba Fett?
But it's like, does an entire race of people wear the exact same clothes, the exact same color scheme,
Yes.
and use the exact same gun
Yes.
and the exact same...
Yeah, have you never played KOTOR, bruh?
No, I'm
Well,
not.
there you go.
I'm not that dude. But I was like, okay, well maybe it's about a different Mandalorian bounty hunter in the same planet as Boba Fett, doing the same things, interacting with the same people at the same places, but not Boba Fett at all. But then he rolls up, and I'm like, oh, dude, it's IG-88. I love IG-88. He's the best assassin droid in the freaking galaxy.
because there's 3 of them, and if one of them gets taken down, the other 2 take his spot while one gets repaired, and he's unstoppable.
Hell yeah, except for this is not IG-88, they said. This is IG-11.
Oh, that's
because
stupid, and I
they
hate
don't want to follow the same, because the canon is already there, and they want to tell new stories. They're like, use new characters!
Do they have
friggin'
friggin' Dengar there, but his name is like Ragnag or something? Like, what's Dengar backwards?
Yeah, Ragnag.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, I get it. You want to use new characters. You want to tell new stories. You want to do all this kind of stuff. That's cool. Please
look at all
do
these
it.
Mandalorians, dude.
Yeah, and which one is Boba Fett? It's
None of those, bro.
That one on the very end.
No, that's not Boba Fett.
It's freaking Boba Fett.
No, that's just a similar armor.
But IG-88 is now IG-11, and it's like, okay, well, you got Boba Fett and IG-11, like, so Mandalorians and IGs just like to roll together all the time.
But what about my boy Dengar, who's just like a scarred up guy who hates Han Solo?
So there's like 6 assassin races, and they all look the same, and they all hang out with the same crew, and they're all like,
What about my homeboy Zuckus?
Zuckus?
Yeah, he's the fat, squat bug guy
I
that
know
has
who's
like the little circle
mouth.
mouth. Yeah.
Man, Zuckus can suck us. I mean, if you're gonna tell different stories, use different character. Like, I would be curious about the backstory with the like black thing that looks like it has a huge like Pornhub black dick hanging off of his face when he like, well, you know,
You're talking about the dude in episode 4 who's like the narc that points out like Han Solo?
and he's got a little like clit flap underneath the big black dick.
wow,
on his,
you're
and he
just
goes,
taking this way too
and he
far.
goes, and everyone's like, oh yeah, of course, the Millennium
That
Falcon's
was
here.
actually pretty good. That sounded like the dude, man.
I mean, look, I don't know if we can pull up a picture of it, but it looks like a giant.
Dick Nose Star Wars guy?
Yes!
No, don't search that,
Google
bro.
Dick. Can we Google Dick No Star Wars guy?
No, you can't show that on TV.
Well, we're not on TV. We're not on
the
Disney
YouTube.
Plus. We're on YouTube.
You still
Plus.
can't show it on YouTube. Have you not learned your lesson when I tell you you can't do something on YouTube and it turns out you can't do that on YouTube?
We can show the Dick No Star Wars guy.
Yeah, but we can't show the Google results from that search.
No, I mean, don't just. No, that's.
Oh, what are they doing with my boy Nia Noom there?
That's vagina-faced Star Wars
and
guy.
Kiadi Mundi, like, why are they hating on? There's the dude in the top left.
Yeah, he's the
you're
front
talking
one. Yeah,
about.
click on it. Look at that thing.
Look at that proboscis monkey,
That is gonna please a lot of ladies. Ooh, it's weird,
dude. No, that they done my boy Kiadi Mundi wrong right there.
Oh man, I don't know.
What you know about extended universe?
Well, apparently we're not allowed to know anything because it's no longer canon according to Disney.
Yeah, it's all erased forever. But he was in episode 1, 2, and he's like in the Jedi Starfighter video game or something.
Oh, dude, that was really good.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So we'll see. We'll talk about Mandalorian a little more next week as the dust has settled. But we're going to be talking about Midway, Dr. Sleep, and
Someone
Last
record it for
Christmas.
me and bring me the tape so I can watch it.
I mean, I'll have it at my house. You could just come over and just have a watch party, and we can get angry at it. But speaking of things that everybody got angry at, the new Sonic the Hedgehog trailer dropped.
Did you see it?
Yeah, it actually looked okay.
It looks better.
It looks better, but everyone's still going to hate it because it's fun to hate it now.
Well, I mean, they might hate the movie after they watch it, but so far everyone likes the trailer because they're like, hey, you actually fixed it.
And it looks like Sonic. He sounds like Sonic. It feels like Sonic. I mean, it's definitely a kid's movie, but it feels like Sonic. So I ain't mad at it, but the internet's like, oh, it's even more shitty. But other things that are more shitty is Gerard Butler has hinted that the Has Fallen universe, which I've been making fun of and like constantly since the last one happened, they are thinking...
Look at that improvement.
Yeah, look at that Sonic. We're over here on the live stream.
Dude, look at those fangs. He's ready for chili dogs, bro.
He's going to get them all. But yeah, Gerard Butler's Has Fallen franchise is thinking about maybe making another 6 movies.
Yes.
Like, how many things can fallen at that point? It's like
every single one of
my
them.
Uber has fallen. And
There's no way he might be like a producer on it or something, but they made it pretty clear in the last one that his character can't keep like fighting like it is.
yeah, no shit. It's because it's already dumb.
So I don't think it'll follow his character. It might be like how they made a Taken TV show and a Transporter TV show. And that one movie that had Ed Skrein, who stars in Midway, who also got his freak on with old Amelia Clark's character in Game of Thrones, because he was a Game of Thrones character, and she was in that other movie that I watched.
And she's in the movie that you watched this week.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, gotcha. Other new movies trailers that dropped this week. I don't know if you've seen it, but Scoob! That's coming out.
Did you see that they kicked Shaggy out of it, and he found out via like tweets from other people and like
Wait, what?
the dude from Without a Paddle, old guy that's been Shaggy for 20
Forever?
years. Yeah.
Zoinks, what happened?
Yeah, he's like, thanks for the torch, Casey Kasem. I'm gonna run with this, and he's voiced him in like almost all the animated movies and TV shows and live action.
And so they
stuff.
just didn't...
Matt something.
So he found out when this trailer dropped. He's like,
Yep.
wait a minute.
Yep.
There's a mystery afoot.
Yeah, Matthew Lillard. There it is. Yeah. Turns out he's a pretty PO dude right now.
Well, yeah, he's going to go to the abandoned movie studio lot, and there's going to be like a ghost, and it turns out it's this old dead producer that...
That's like if Casey Kasem showed up. He's like, it's me, Casey Kasem, and it's time for the top 20. And they're like, oh, someone's already in the seat.
The top 5 guys that have played Shaggy that are not you.
Yeah.
Casey Kasem, is he alive?
Yeah, I don't know. He was recently.
Who was the guy that did the ball drop at New Year's? Was it Casey Kasem?
No,
it was the other
Dick
guy.
Clark.
Dick Clark. He's dead, and then they tried to do like the holographic Tupac thing.
I don't know. I definitely support this Barbara Walters being the one that does it this year, so she can say it's 2020. Have you been seeing that?
I've seen that thing
I
on
want
the internet.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, because she could be like, it's
Barbara
internet.
Walters.
You should
and
be
this
on
is
the
2020.
Yeah.
That'd be
That
sick.
would be good. Let's see other things that I wanted to mention before we get. There was another trailer that I caught that normally, God, we're just going to talk about Disney some more, and normally I get so. Johnny Dalton over on YouTube coming in strong with the comments saying that Gilbert Godfrey should take over.
As Shaggy?
No, as New Year's or both. Wouldn't that be? That'd be like, it's New Year. Yeah, that would be. Hey, Scoob. Man, that would be great.
Yeah.
But Pixar releasing a new trailer to the upcoming film Soul. Have you seen the trailer?
Yeah, I saw the trailer.
It looks good. It looks like a return to some of those.
Weird. It was like,
It's about
what
a dead dude.
if we made Coco again, but with a grown up?
Yeah, but not in Spanish afterlife.
Oh,
Different afterlife.
jazzy afterlife.
That's right. Chicago jazz musician.
But it's not
afterlife.
like afterlife, even though like the
Limbo.
the synopsis, like the plot is like he falls in that manhole and then his soul gets knocked out of his body and he has to
Usually that's when
learn
you
his
die.
lesson and catch up with his body. It's like Ghost Dad, bro.
Or what is it? Meet
It's
Joe Black.
Ghost Dad.
Ghost Dad, did he fall into a pit? He even looks like Ghost Dad. Whoa. Pixar just made Ghost. If there's a scene where he comes through a phone and like gets onto his daughter, like then it's
And
Ghost Dad.
his soul goes back into his body when he's in the hospital, and he wakes up and he's like, yo, where's my turbo sob? I'm Ghost Dad.
Or that scene where Ghost Dad is I wonder if Bill Cosby was like, you remember how Dan Aykroyd we always make
Maybe he wrote the script from prison. He like mailed it to
and just
Pixar.
like, hey, I got an idea. But you remember, how we always talk about Dan Aykroyd like really pushing for the ghost blowjob scene?
Yeah,
But
that's a real thing where they're like, I don't think it really fits in the movie.
like,
He's like,
"We're
it
doing it.
has to be.
It's gonna fit.
I will leave set now.
I will make it fit. But you remember
Blues Brothers gave me a $80,000 cocaine budget. I will go back to all of the Blues Brothers. I'm getting the beater in this movie or I walk.
and it's done.
That's a true story from Ghostbusters.
But you remember in Ghost Dad where he first finds out that he's a ghost and he's standing in the middle of the road and the bus goes through him and then his head goes through that lady's crotch and he's like, ah! And the legs like go woof right over his face. Do you remember that scene?
No.
Bill Cosby. Even
Yeah, but
Ghost
he
Dad
was
predicted
Dr.
it.
He was Dr. Huxtable, and he was like a OBGYN. So I mean,
I guess it made sense.
what does that even matter?
But OBGYNs don't usually dive in face first.
Usually don't. I would hope they never don't.
Hey man,
Like,
I've seen some lawsuits. Just vet your OBGYN, ladies. All right, that's what's happening. New trailers, new stuff. We don't have a whole lot of time to talk about news because we've got a lot of movies to catch up with. So, yeah, let's start with our first order of business of the show about this time is where we talk about movies that are coming out in theaters this weekend. We have new movies that are arriving this week, November 15th, 2019. The one I'm most excited about, we will start with. Actually, we should start with the one that the Grip is most excited about. Charlie's Angels is coming out.
fuck you, bro. No way.
It's directed by Elizabeth Banks, who I actually really enjoy. She's really cool. But starring Kristen Stewart, Naomi Scott, Ella Balinski, and of course Elizabeth Banks. It's
Turd sausage.
It looks like turd sausages. It is just. There's nothing about this trailer that and I like the original Charlie's Angels,
Like the TV show, right?
TV show.
Yeah, remember how sick the TV show was?
It was great.
And then they made movies, and you're
they
like, oh,
weren't.
Tom Green's in this. Oh, these movies are bad.
Terrible.
And then it's like, what was the dude? Creepy guy? Crispin Glover. It's like,
Oh yeah.
look at Crispin Glover. He's here
He's
being
always
a weirdo.
He's cool, but he's a weirdo.
Yeah, but then the rest of those movies, you're just like,
And this one's got Patrick Stewart in it. And I
they
like
had a
Patrick-
Ghostbuster in those. In the first movie, there was a Ghostbuster. In the second movie, it became Bernie Mac for some reason.
Bernie Mac.
Yeah, he became
Where are they going with these things?
Bosley, bro.
But I don't. This just looks like it's another one of those pandery girl power sort of.
Because now Elizabeth Banks is Bosley, isn't she?
Well, and she's Bosley. She's gonna be making bank off this because she's directing and producing.
What do you want to bet? Charlie comes on the phone. He's like, "Hey, good evening, angels." And like, you can't call us that, dude.
Yeah.
You need to back off. And it's like, Charlie's normal spy people that are just as good as everybody else.
Yeah, I don't
And
understand how they
like
can
a
get
far
away
extended title.
with still having some matriarchal motherfucker calling up and being like, excuse me, angels. And be like, yeah. But yes, this is a girl power movie. I don't know. I don't know how this works. It's funny the things it's like a golden corral. The things that you can pick and choose and leave the ones that you don't like. It's dumb. Anyway,
I thought Charlie's Angels was so cool when I was a kid.
so did I.
And then they made that movie, and I was like, "What'd you do?
They ruined
You
it.
ruined it."
Thanks, Drew Barrymore. Ford versus.
She's the one of the three
She's the
you choose
one.
to blame for that.
I blame Drew Barrymore at all times.
More than Cameron Diaz.
I just feel like Cameron Diaz was just a product of her environment. She had no control, but Drew Barrymore's been in this game since she was like 8. She knows what's up.
We're just not even going to point a finger at Lucy Liu. Like, she was just there.
She was just collateral damage. Poor Lucy Liu. She was so on top of the world back
Yeah.
in the 90s.
And then that's probably what ruined it.
It's just too much for old Lucy.
Now she's like Sherlock Holmes, or she's like Lucy Liu Watson.
Lucy lost. Yeah, I don't know. Lucy.
She's in that Sherlock thing.
Which one?
The one where she's Watson.
What?
There's like a weird guy, like he has like tics and he's way British and he's in America.
Is this a TV show?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. And it has the guy from Hackers in it. Johnny that guy, he was in Hackers, he was in Train Spotting, he was in
He's not Lucy Liu. What's he matter, dude?
he was in what is the other movie that he was in that I really like? where it was the Gentleman Highwayman. Golly, Johnny, whatever. He's there. I know who it is. We don't need to talk about this anymore.
You know what movie I am actually excited about?
What?
The true story of Ford versus Ferrari.
That's right. I'm actually very excited about this movie as well because James Mangold is a talented director. We've got Christian Bale, Matt Damon coming in. Who doesn't like Matt Damon?
Yeah, you get to see Jason Bourne and Batman fight each other with a loaf of bread.
Mm-hmm. And then share ice-cold Coca-Colas.
And it's a true story about how Ford tried to purchase Ferrari. The deal was in the works. They flew all the way to Italy to sign it. And they said, oh, by the way, you don't get the racing division, the only reason you're buying us. So Ford told them they could stick it, and he was going to kick their ass. And they did, because they got Carroll Shelby, who also had a grudge against GM and everyone else, because he goes, hey, guys, you know what? You should give me money because I make cars. And they're like, we could, but we don't want to. And he's like, screw you guys. And then Ford's like, we'll give you money. And he goes, sick. And then they all just had their terrible grudges against the world.
I'm just going to refer to the fact that the Grip's wearing a Matco Tools shirt.
Oh, I got a Matco Tool shirt. Got a Harley Davidson hoodie. I got my Snap-on beanie and jacket over there. I know about cars.
Snap.
Yeah, Merca.
But this looks really,
Muscle.
this looks great. Christian Bale, I have kind of a love-hate relationship with Christian Bale because I think he is a talented actor, but I also think he's a humongous piece of shit as a human being.
Is that because he yelled at that dude on Terminator
It's just-
after he screwed up the take that they had worked like a 12-hour day on or whatever?
He's just, I've worked, if you're not familiar with the Drive-In Speakerbox, I work in the film industry, or I used to work a lot more in the film industry than I do now, because now I run a bar, which I don't run it runs me. And so I have pulled out, so to speak, of the film world. I still but I don't do it as much as I used to. So I definitely don't do feature films anymore. But I'll still do television and commercial work. But working with Hollywood actors that have a big, humongous ego is one of the worst experiences of we got some comments coming in from Facebook. Oh, Adam Watkins sitting here saying that the Grip is a Bale apologist. He's given him a bailout. And guys like that suck. They're the worst because they don't look.
Dude, but what about the guy that ruined everything? You're just taking his side because you're a boom op and he was a sound guy, or it was a PA, wasn't it?
It was just a PA. It was not
someone
sound
who wasn't
guy.
even supposed to be there.
But the only reason we got all that is because the sound guy kept rolling.
Wow.
Because we love to dead roll because no one remembers that we're there. Like, the crazy thing about working in sound is you hear everything. And so, yeah, it's true. Because people will go take shits.
Yo, I worked on this movie with Elizabeth Banks. I
heard her take a shit. But no, it's absolutely true because people won't tell their sound guy that they're going 10-1 or 10-2. 10-1 is PP, 10-2 is doo-doo.
Like dude who admitted that he murdered everyone on the HBO thing.
Yes.
How do you think the sound guy there reacted? He was like...
Or the president of the United States who grabbed him by the pussy.
Wow.
I mean, that sound guys, you hear stuff because a lot of us are sitting here in our headphones and you learn to tune out things that you hear. You hear somebody drinking coffee. You hear, you don't pay too much attention. But when you hear
I killed them all.
Yeah, you're like, oh wait, shit. Roll, because you don't, because you're usually shooting on some sort of digital or tape where you've got a lot more space than the guys that are shooting film or video, and you're just like, I'm gonna go ahead and save this one for later.
I like Vince's comment here to your sound guy nonsense. Okay, boomer.
Oh, he gave me the okay boomer.
Yeah, I got you.
Oh man, hang on. Responding to a text.
That's exciting.
I know, exciting. Oh wait, why are you showing pictures of me on my TV show? Oh well, yeah, that's a TV show I have. But anyway, Ford versus Ferrari. Matt Damon, Christian Bale. Matt Damon is slated to be working on a feature film that's going to be shot in Oklahoma, not far from here. I think outside of OKC sometime.
Well, last time he was working on a movie that was supposed to be in Oklahoma. It was all filmed in Colorado.
It's supposed to be Oklahoma. Stupid. Also coming out in theaters this week, we have The Good Liar with Helen Mirren and Ian McKellen. I don't know if you've seen the trailers to this, but it's old people doing sinister plots and backstabbing, scam handling.
Well, that's another comic crossover there, huh? You got one of the characters from Red and Magneto together.
Red.
Yeah.
What a comic book
DC
movie
Marvel
that nobody
fusion.
remembered. Like old people shooting guns.
It had a sequel, bro.
It did have a sequel. Was Bruce Willis in that?
Yes, he was.
He was in that. I do
And
remember Red.
John Malkovich.
Oh, yeah. Remember when John Malkovich wasn't an insane weirdo? And then he had that movie made about him and he became an insane weirdo? I guess he was always an insane weirdo. We just didn't know about
Have
it.
you ever seen Con Air?
Yeah, dude. I loved Con Air when Con Air came out. That movie
Con Air's still sick.
It is still sick. I mean, you've got that.
Put the bunny down.
But you've got that Nicolas Cage hair. Ooh,
Yeah, blowing in the breeze.
so good.
You got John Cusack being a doucher to my boy Cole Meany.
Isn't Dave Chappelle in that too?
He is. They
Yeah.
use his body as like to send the message.
What
to,
an ensemble cast.
Yeah, that's how they find the airfield where friggin' Dookie Toots, John Cusack ruins Star Trek legend Cole Meany's sick Corvette.
Look at that ensemble
Yeah, you got
cast.
Danny Trejo.
Do you know John Cusack was here in Fayetteville the other day? Or not Fayetteville, Little Rock the other day? Just a couple hours south. One of our viewers and also Drive-In Speakerbox, what is it? Fantasy Movie League champion, Dina. She went down and saw John Cusack speak down there and didn't get me an autograph. So thanks a lot, Dina.
Unreal.
I thought you were
You
a
didn't
fan.
ask him to do karate. You didn't ask him the secret to the hot tub time machine.
You just should have
You
stood
know-
outside the theater with a boombox and just playing the drive-in speaker box over your head.
Is that not the most ridiculous part of that whole movie that they keep talking about how good at martial arts he is? They're like, oh man, he'll kick your ass. He's super good at karate.
Karate can't kick anybody's ass.
It can in that movie because all the dad from Frasier is like, oh, well, he's good at karate. I don't like that kid. That's that movie.
Kids in karate. It's like Taekwondo.
Watch that movie. They talk about him doing martial arts a lot.
You know that they're making a remake of High Fidelity?
No, don't
But
do
they're
that.
gender swapping it.
Who's going to be Jack Black?
That I don't have an answer to. But anyway, more on that next week because we've got a lot of stuff to talk about because we're running low on the times. Let's talk about the movie that you're probably going to talk about the least, Last Christmas, which just came out in theaters last week. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It was a new release.
Let's talk about Last Christmas because it's officially November. That means it's Christmas, and yeah, everybody's in the Christmas spirit.
Halloween ended, so now it's just
Now
right
it's just
on.
Christmas time.
No more planes, trains, and automobiles type things for you guys. Best
Nope.
Thanksgiving movie.
No, Thanksgiving is just the Christmas appetizer. It's Christmas light now. Everybody's like Thanksgiving dinner has Christmas trees up, and
I gotta watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
when are they going to remake that?
Never. Don't touch it.
I'm not saying they should. I'm just saying they probably
How are
will.
you gonna have Steve Martin putting his hands between John Candy's butt cheeks in 2020?
Just make it a Rock and Kevin Hart joint, and there it is.
You just gave away
spoilers.
so much free stuff. That's copyright Drive-In Speakerbox. If you want to do that, we're producers. You got to come to us.
That's right.
for that.
What's our production company for? Our production company is Academy Award nominated films. Yeah, and there you go. That's going to be coming in 2022. You'll look for it. Look for it. Planes, Trains, Automobile remake. You heard it here first. Kevin Hart, The Rock. It's happening. Anyway, all right. Last Christmas. Tell us about Last Christmas.
Yeah. So Last Christmas is the movie you got with old Crazy Rich Asian guy who is the Crazy Rich Asian. I can't remember what his name is. You have Amelia Clark. Most of you will know her as Khaleesi for some reason because you can't take the time to learn someone's name. And you have Michelle Yeoh. And Emma Thompson. Emma Thompson wrote,
Emma Thompson's in
produced,
this, really?
and co-starred in this as a weird Eastern European. For some reason, they had to make Amelia Clark and Emma Thompson and their family European refugees that moved to London for some unknown reason.
So this takes place in London.
Yes,
Okay.
it takes place in London. Amelia
Hence
Clarke
the British
is
cast and the George Michael soundtrack.
Yes.
Got it.
So she's a girl who was a singer at home. Her mom wanted her to be a singer, and you find out like she was a kid. She was part of like church choirs, and she was like amazing. And then flash forward to modern times. She's in London. She's a mess. Her life is trash. She can't keep anything together. And she keeps saying, well, because I was sick, before I was sick and after I was sick and all this stuff. And she doesn't have good relationships with any of her friends, her family, anything like that, because she's kind of ostracized herself through being a turd, like just a complete turd.
Is this like about a boy?
No.
Because you remember that one, right?
It's not
about
as-
Christmas songs, but he's like, I'm such a piece of shit, and I live off royalties. And
Yeah, the Christmas part of this really doesn't come in until the very end. It's just a touch of it. But she works
even
at
though
a
it's called Last Christmas.
right.
Okay.
But it takes place around the holiday. And she works at a Christmas themed store. Like imagine the dude with the turtle doves from Home Alone 2. But like
Was he homeless?
no.
Oh, that
It
was the lady.
the
Pigeon
pigeon
lady.
lady that he gives the turtle dove to. Oh, yeah. But imagine that, but it's just like a shop that's a hole in the wall, but it's like 3 stories, and it's just packed where you have to like suck in your gut to walk through the store. But for
is
some
all
reason,
stores for me.
it always it has tons of customers, and it's owned and ran by Michelle Yeoh, who just loves Christmas, and she goes by the name Santa.
Yeah, she's credited only as Santa.
And she's the best part of the movie because...
well, because it's Michelle freaking Yeoh.
Yeah, and she pulls...
Did she pull a gun out and jump over an exploding car?
No, but she has character and like substance
Because
and
she's
like
an amazing
portrays-
actor.
Yes, she's definitely the best part of the movie. But so you see this girl, and she just goes through her life, and she can't keep anything together, and she sees this guy outside of the window, and he's curious about things, and she goes outside to talk to him, and then they just keep running into each other, and he's this very charitable guy, and she's just a freeloader, and like just a loaf about like type can't get it together person. And you see her go from friend's house to friend's house, and she just always breaks something, ruins something, oversteps her boundaries, or is just overstays her welcome completely. But she keeps falling back to this guy, and he'll disappear for days
Henry
at a time.
Golding.
He doesn't have a cell phone. He's like this real mysterious but very like
Malaysian mystery man.
I don't know about that, but yeah, he's like a very mysterious guy, but he's always there, and he's always helpful, and he's always caring and giving, and he's just like the embodiment of the holiday spirit or whatever.
Is he a ghost?
And through their
He's
interaction,
a ghost.
Through their interaction, she
See?
becomes like
spoiler.
a
He's
better
not acknowledging it. He's a
person.
freaking ghost of Christmas past.
Bro, why are you?
I don't know. I haven't seen this movie.
This ain't Scrooged.
It could be.
This ain't.
It could be Last Scrooged.
No.
Henry Golding plays the ghost of
Henry Golding, is that his
That's
name?
his name, yeah.
Oh, okay. There we go. The one I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
But Emma Thompson plays a good character. Her accent.
Is she a ghost?
No, dude. She's just like a old like
Ghost.
Yugoslavian lady.
Like the ghost of Christmas. What was it? Like present?
No, Present's like the big, hefty, jolly, colorful guy that's like, yo, time to eat. Also, I'm dead now.
And past is the other one.
Past is in Scrooged, the
Was the
one
old
played
lady.
by Carol Kane.
Yeah, Carol Kane.
Yeah.
She's like, let me go show you this shit.
Yeah.
And
yeah. No, she was. Yeah. No, what?
you know they're planning
She
on
was
making
present.
a Christmas Carol television series.
She was Christmas present in that movie. Who was Past? Past was the taxi
the
driver.
taxi driver with the big
That would be a good Halloween costume.
dude, the taxi driver ghost from Scrooge.
Anyhow, she becomes a better person. She makes things up with her family, and
it's a
you-
Christmas
you-
miracle.
Yeah, and the George Michael music plays throughout because that's her favorite artist.
Did they play Careless Whisper?
In fact, they don't. Every song you hear, you get 2 to 3 seconds of, and you're like, oh, and then it goes away.
What?
Every time you're like, oh, nice. Before you can get that out, it's gone. You do hear Last Christmas played about 50 times, but only in 4-second chunks, and it's the same one. And all of
Faith?
all of the dolls.
Freedom 90.
I don't know if they have faith. Gotta have faith.
That's right. Because maybe she just doesn't believe in herself, and she's like down in the dumps. She's like walking down the thing. She's like,
No,
I'm about to eat all this Percocet and then fall asleep in a trash can. It's like
she eats a lot of kebabs.
gotta have faith. The faith. She's kebabs.
Yeah,
those are good. Doner kebabs.
But anyhow, it's actually a pretty decent movie, man. Despite the soundtrack being a letdown because they only tease you with all of the songs, there is like a little thing in the story where you're like, oh, what? You know, but she becomes charitable.
Because they're
throughout and
ghosts.
stuff
I'm
like
telling
that.
you
But
guys, ghosts. Christmas ghosts. Like he's like,
here, hold on. All right, you want me to tell you what it is straight up because y'all
Christmas
probably aren't
Ghost.
going to watch the movie.
Because I
All right,
guessed
hold
it.
on. Spoiler coming up now. Yeah, totally a ghost, man.
I told you, I
Yeah.
knew it.
And
These are so predictable.
Straight up, I knew it from the very beginning, and it's called Last Christmas because the dude is like,
Ghost of Christmas Last.
he's bicycling like a dumbass, and he's like, oh, I wonder why that bus has stopped. And then
He gets to meet Joe
murked.
Black.
Yeah, he gets murked by this bus, and her being sick.
Did you get to see it?
was you get to see him get hit by the bus.
Because one of the greatest clips of all time. Can we pull this up?
She has the point of it is she
in
has
Meet Joe
his heart.
Black.
She has his heart because the lyrics of Last Christmas are Last Christmas
I gave you my heart
There it is.
I found it on a bus at my bus stop.
So anyhow,
This
spoilers
smear
over. Yeah.
all over the wind here. Yeah, I donated to Science Special.
It would have been a lot better if we could have got some more George Michael music out of it, like in Keanu, the Key and Peele movie,
Yeah.
Keanu, where they had
With
a
the
lot
cat.
of George Michael in it.
Yeah, so I'm still hoping that we can pull up the clip of Meet Joe Black where he gets hit by the bus and is one of the greatest bus smashings of all time.
Better than Barney and How I Met Your Mother when he just gets like
dude.
throttled by that city bus.
There is no better city bus hit than in Meet Joe Black when he gets frickin' creamed.
Making My Dreams Come True is Hall & Oates, though.
Yeah, that is. Okay. Oh, here it is. If you're watching the live stream, here it is. He's like, oh, hey, looking back longingly. Oh man, well, I'm gonna just like pretend that I'm not standing in the middle of traffic, and then wow, I almost got hit. Oh, bam, bam, and just double up, bam, bammed.
Well, that wasn't a bus.
Well, I mean, it's
was
close
just-
enough. It's traffic.
That was careless commuters.
But he got hit by two cars. Blah, blah. So good. Anyway, all right. Last Christmas, it's in theaters right now. The Grip liked it. He thought
It's
it was
actually, it's like just like a sit around. It's a popcorn movie. You know what I'm saying?
It's sit around Chris. It's a Thanksgiving Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
But it does have like Emma Thompson and Michelle Yeoh like being like, hey, look at what caliber actors we are. And it has Amelia Clark getting to be like Amelia Clark and not having to be friggin' Sarah Connor and not having to be Game of Thrones. She gets to be like a human. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And she was more like herself as she is in like interviews and things like that. So you get to see her express her acting range outside of being, you know what I'm saying? Like being like Sarah Connor / Dragon Queen. Oh, funny story. The person I watched the movie with, when she's like, can we go watch this? It has the dragon lady. And I was like, I don't think you can say that about Michelle Yeoh.
Can't
That's
say,
not
'cause she
acceptable.
is the dragon lady.
And she's like, no, I meant the chick from Game of Thrones.
Michelle Yeoh's my
But I was,
Crouching Tiger, Hidden
I was
Dragon
like,
lady.
that's completely unacceptable. You can't say that. And she's like, no, I meant the Game of Thrones person. And I was like, oh, well,
Womp
you
womp.
you definitely have to clarify there.
Because, yeah, she's the better dragon lady.
No, it's because that's not an okay thing.
You
to say.
can't, I know you can't say it, but people don't know names like we know names. I mean, it's hard enough for us to keep all this stuff straight. You know what I mean?
That's true.
All right, so let's move on to the second review of the night because we've got two more to do. I went and saw Dr. Sleep this weekend, and Dr. Sleep, of course, is the sequel to The Shining, and this Dr. Sleep is, of course, a novel. A lot of people don't realize that Dr. Sleep is indeed a novel. It is a sequel to, but it just came out a long time after The Shining.
Like 25 years later.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
I believe Stephen King wrote The Shining in 1977, and Dr. Sleep came out fairly recently, like 2012 or 13.
Oh.
So it was a long way past the original Shining. But it was a New York Times bestseller for a while. And
What book isn't?
I know everything is for at least a week, and this film, starring Ewan McGregor, where he takes up the reins. What do we got over here on
Dr. Sleep Bill Cosby story?
Ooh, comments getting savage over here. No, this Dr. Sleep was not the Bill Cosby story. That's
It wasn't me. It was Ghost Dad.
Yeah, this is Ghost Dad. But Ewan McGregor taking on the role of Danny Torrance, now Dan Torrance, an adult version of the boy who survived with his mother.
Is that what they call him? The boy who survived?
Who lived.
Yeah.
He's like the new Harry Potter because he's just got the shinning. And
Is the shinning when he pedals his big wheel into people's legs? And
oh, my knees. But it also stars Kylie Curran, who is an up-and-comer.
Yeah, we all know.
We know where we're going here. As Abra Stone, who, when I first saw the trailer, her name's Abracadabra, which is real dumb. But I let it roll. But when I originally saw the trailer, I was like, oh, good grief, playing, pandering to an audience, passing the torch, young girl, blah blah blah. Like, child actors these days are really bad. And Kylie Curran came up and kind of stole the show.
Since you mentioned the trailer, real quick, I got a question. Since it has the chick from not Men in Black. She was in Men in Black. The newest one, the terrible one, the really terrible one.
Ooh, international.
Worse than the third one. Mission Impossible. She's in the Mission Impossible movies, and she's like, I got to hunt down these people with the shinning.
The shinning.
Yeah. Is it like friggin' Jumper? You know how like Sam Jackson hunted down the jumpers, and there was like that whole like society of like jumper hunters, but in this one it was like they eat them, like they eat their souls or whatever too.
Kind of
like Jumper?
Yeah, a little bit, but not. I mean, the bad guys in this movie are not as scary or nefarious as you'd think that the trailer would lead them to believe.
Show them sucking souls out of people.
I know,
with
dude.
that Zuckus mouth.
And they called it
like real hocus pocus. Like when they have to take the child's soul to keep them young.
Dude, Hocus Pocus is dark, y'all. They eat babies. Like, and Disney's like, yay, baby eating, Bette Midler, eat more babies. It's the other white meat.
That's real fat bastard right there.
It is. So anyway, the bad guys in this movie weren't really that scary. I mean, they were creepy. There was some really cool death scenes, but it was like this aging group of people that kind of feasted too much, and they're kind of immortal, but not. They have kind of like vampires. You'll never grow old and you never die, but you must feed. And so there's a lot less psychic energy kids, we'll call them kids with the shining, that are around the world for them to like feast on. It's like they ate most of them, right? And so this power is getting weaker and weaker. And this is a story about this girl who just has an incredible amount of this power, and Danny Torrance, who has kind of tried to never use this again because it freaked him out, because the place of where his father went crazy and all the stuff that happened in The Shining, that place was really special and really evil, and it devoured off energy that he had. So it came back into play. And the thing that I liked about this movie is it's not doing very well in the box office, but fuck the box office, because that is not a sign of how good a movie is. And if you think that if a movie bombs, tanks, or flops, that it means it's not good, you need to learn what words mean. We're going to say it again on the show.
Take a look at a lot of your favorite movies, or movies that you're like, oh, I've watched that a million times. Well, guess what? No one did when it came out.
Exactly. So when you hear a movie on the internet that's like, oh, it's set to lose all this money, it's a flop, it's a bomb, it tanked, does not mean it's bad. It means that it's not making money because everyone else wants to go see a fucking comic book movie instead. And it's just, we don't need to go into the Scorsese rant because, again, I'm going back to the Scorsese rant. The problem with everybody getting mad at Scorsese is no one's reading his rant.
What comic book movie is out right now?
Just it doesn't. All of them doesn't matter. I mean, we'll go over it in the box office roundup. But no one's reading Scorsese's full thought here. Everyone's like, Scorsese hates Marvel movies. Yeah, I'm a fan for Mandalorian Disney Plus, and it's like, fuck you. Number one.
A lot of people going out of their way to thank Jon Favreau personally.
Fuck Jon Favreau. Yeah. Did you see any of his movies like ever? He's just a fat piece of shit that got lucky
Swingers.
and made. Yeah, that movie sucks.
Yeah, but I mean,
and Jon Favreau is a dumb dick. Like,
whoa.
He just got lucky with Iron Man, and now he's like, oh, he could do no wrong. And go watch PCU and tell me that Jon Favreau's a genius.
Don't you like that movie?
I do love that movie, but I don't like. He didn't write it. He was just this big stoner idiot, which is who he is in real life. But my point is, it's TLDR. Too long, didn't read. No one gets past the 160 character title and the link, the clickbait. And so the problem that I have is people are not going to go see Dr. Sleep because they're like, I heard that it blah blah blah. It's like this telephone game. It's like, one guy goes, it was actually a really great movie, but it didn't make a lot of money. And then somebody goes, oh, I heard it didn't make a lot of money. And then someone goes, I heard it was terrible, so it didn't make a lot of money. And then the next person goes, I heard it was terrible. And the next person goes, it's a piece of shit. And they go, well, I heard. It's the telephone game, right? And the same with Scorsese is people are not reading what he actually said. And what he said is like, hey, these Marvel movies are very well produced, very engineered marvels of cinematic prowess. But what they aren't is good stories. What they aren't is have anything that has any soul. What they aren't is willing to take risks. What they aren't is giving opportunities to people that want to pioneer a vision or do something different. It's like we're sitting on a franchise that has 23 fucking movies with all these famous directors, and you cannot tell the difference between one or the other. And and that is his point, is it's all calculated to remove risk. And when you remove risk, you lack vision. And one of the things I was telling somebody just the other day, it's like we live in a world where we're getting Jurassic Park sequels till we're dead, but we live in a world where we never make a Jurassic Park. Think about that for like 2 seconds, because oh great, more Henny. This is exactly what I need. Do you see these cheeks? Ugh. But the thing is we live in a world where we can't get enough Jurassic Park, but Jurassic Park would never be made in our environment. And so what I mean by that is if a person came up and goes, just say Jurassic Park never happened, and someone comes up and goes, hey man, I got an idea for a movie, man. We got this novel that's written by this dead guy. I mean, it did all right when it came out, but it's about dinosaur theme park, right? Okay, and we're gonna put a whole bunch of people you ain't never heard of in it.
Sam Neill was in it.
He wasn't that famous at the time, and neither was Jeff Goldblum, mind you. We're going to put that guy that was in The Fly and in Earth Girls Are Easy, and the dude that was in, the Mr. Frost, Google it, and, we're going to put him in there, and we're going
Lorna Dern was in there?
And she wasn't that famous either.
Her dad?
It didn't have any big stars. No big stars.
What about friggin' wildlife documentary guy's brother, who was the
he's so big,
the grandpa.
Yeah, he's not a big famous guy either. But my point is, man, we're gonna make a kind of a horror action movie about dinosaurs coming to life and in a theme park, and everything goes crazy, and they eat them up, and they try to escape the island, and we're gonna need $250 million, and they'd be like, you know what? I don't know that there's a fan base for this. I don't think that this Carnosaur didn't perform very well, so no thank you. We're going to do the thing that everybody is very familiar with. We'd never get a Jurassic Park in 2019, but now that we've done it, we've somebody else has gone and eliminated all the risks. That's why we're getting another Scooby-Doo in 2019.
Yeah, but it looks
Scooby-
a lot like a pup named Scooby-Doo. Did you ever see that?
Yeah, but that's based off of the calculated risks, from it's all insurance salesmen now in Hollywood. And so where I'm getting at this is The Shining sequel, Dr. Sleep, isn't bad, but people are wanting to not see it because it's not making money. And that drives me up the freaking wall, because here's the interesting thing about Dr. Sleep. Is Dr. Sleep, a lot of people remember The Shining. The Shining was directed by Stanley Kubrick, based off of the 1977 novel, and Kubrick was a very eccentric dude, willing to take risk, and people were like, hey dude, Kubrick's got a thing, he's got a style,
A
little eccentric.
Yeah.
And now Kubrick would never get his movie in a theater. Never, ever. Like, speaking of
Space Babies.
like, for example, Terry Gilliam getting The Man Who Killed Don Quixote in a theater was almost an act of God, and it was in theaters for a weekend. Okay, Kevin Smith's new movie, the Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back, or Return of Reboot, whatever it was called, only got in for a Fathom event.
2 night only.
2 nights only. And we're living in a world with these guys that have been heralded for their style, for their vision, for their thinking outside the box, for their doing something different, for ruffling feathers and making something that is very much theirs. They're not getting a platform of which to do it. And so the interesting thing is Kubrick solidified how we think of The Shining. And, that movie became iconic, but really deviated far from the source material. And nowadays, fanboys would be like,
well, actually, Jack Torrance he didn't like Jack Daniels. He drank this other one, and I don't really like the direction of the blood flow that you had. The room number wasn't 273, it was 478.
Like, fuck these guys. And
Well, but in the book, there was no blood flow or twins or...
Exactly. So Kubrick was like, I want to do this. And it became zeitgeist for a lot of people that are like, I don't want to read a novel because reading's for dorks. And
But the whole thing they said was that they tied in the movies and the old and the books. Like
that's where I'm going with this one, is Dr. Sleep takes a lot out of the books, follows the story, gets the characters, takes all that, but then also acknowledges Kubrick's visual style, and they blend them together in a very nice middle ground to where you can enjoy both source materials, which the 1977 novel or the Kubrick film, and they both have their place where it's doing enough fan service to go, okay, we see you, we acknowledge you, but we need to move forward. We're going to take this in a little bit different direction, but keep it in an original direction. And I thought that was cool, and I thought it was refreshing. I also thought it was a little 20 minutes too long, but overall, this is not a jump scare horror movie. Again, I think it's one of the reasons why it's not performing well in box office is because people are thinking of this as a horror film because it's about monsters that suck the soul out of children. And yeah, that's spooky, but it's not a horror film. It's not scary. It's kind of an interesting, dark adventure thriller in the paranormal, supernatural, and I thought it was fun. I mean, Ewan McGregor, you guys. Ewan McGregor, just saying.
He cheats on his wife.
Well, we didn't.
Sorry. You were like, yo, big positives, and I had to be like the big negative. Really.
Well, I like his performances. I mean,
great actor. Yeah,
he is a
for
great
sure.
actor. Let's see. Going through the
Rides
comments
motorcycles.
here.
Cool guy.
Need to catch up in the comments here. Facebook, wondering about Dr. Sleep and Afraid to Go. It was actually pretty good. I think you should check it out. Vince says the Steven Weber version was a hot turn compared to this Kubrick version.
Turd.
Hot turd. Yeah, it was a hot turd. Yeah, it was. That one was not a good version. Johnny Dalton asks on YouTube, was it better than the Shining scene in Ready Player One? So here's the interesting thing: is they recreate a lot of scenes instead of taking old stock footage. They did the new opening shot. They recreated that, but in a modern time. They recreated a lot of walkthrough spots in that were in The Shining, gave it an updated look, but it didn't feel forced. It didn't feel weird. They didn't try to CGI recreate Jack Nicholson's face. They just cast somebody else that kind of looked like it. But hey, this is Ghosts. This is that hotel that's full of these evil spirits that want to munch on psychic souls, and they take different forms. So hey, I don't care if it doesn't look exactly like Jack Nicholson. It doesn't have to. We know what's happening, and I thought that it did a pretty decent job. So yeah, Dr. Sleep, I think it's good. Check it out before it's not in theaters anymore, because by the time the next big stack of movies pops up, it's probably going to get booted out. There you go. Dr. Sleep in theaters right now. We got to review another movie.
Yeah, I got one more.
Actually, before we get into that, you know what we did this weekend?
What's that? What did we do?
We went and saw Joe Bob Briggs.
Yeah,
in
the
Tulsa.
drive-in Speakerbox met with the host of the last drive-in.
Check this out, you guys. This is my drive-in Speakerbox. This is kind of our mascot of the show. I've had this for a really long time. It was a gift. And, our show is, of course, named after the drive-in. We've been doing this for a really, really long time. And Joe Bob Briggs is kind of the classic drive-in movie critic. And we, check this out, if you're tuned in on the live feed, I don't know where it is. I'm going to turn it upside down. Everything's backwards. But we got him to sign our drive-in Speakerbox.
And I have this sword, and you see that black smudge on the blade? If you look close, it's a signature from a very famous, notable person. What was his name? The dude from American Idol, Randy
Travis.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the Randy.
Step Brothers.
That Randy.
Not Step Brothers. Yeah.
But we went and saw him. He did a. I don't want to take too much time here to talk about it, but he did a lecture, and it was called "How Rednecks Saved Hollywood." And a really interesting thing happened through the course of this lecture. Is a lot of the things that he was saying, and this is a guy that's been reviewing movies far longer than we have. We've only been doing this for about 15 years. He's been doing it for like 30, and he brought up a lot of points that we talk about here on the Drive-In Speakerbox, and so that made us feel really good. Talking about certain things in cinema, certain things, historical moments in cinema.
We're on a similar level.
We are on a similar level, so that's why you tune into the Drive-In Speakerbox, because we have watched all these movies, we have gone through the things,
and it was super cool because it was done as like an educational lecture in cinema history with real history and cinema history and everything packaged in together, and it was like a thesis defense. And that thesis is that Smokey and the Bandit is the best movie ever made. And I will defend that with my life.
What you got there?
It was for one reason.
Coors.
Movie's favorite beer, as seen in Lethal Weapon, Smokey and the Bandit, and many others.
So
movie's favorite beer.
So this guy, the Grip, something you need to know about the Grip is when he's in a theater, he is the most dead silent,
absolutely
dead straight face.
Because I'm courteous.
He could be having the greatest time of his life, and he's just like, yo, I know we're in a Fast and Furious movie, but calm down. I need to watch this. But an amazing thing happened because I dragged him to this lecture with me, and then when Joe Bob Briggs was like, so you guys, does anybody know what the premise, the purpose of Smokey and the Bandit? And then the Grip here goes, Coors! And I've never seen him so like just elated and shout out something in a theater, and he did because we had that much fun.
Yo, straight up, I've told you guys before, and I will tell you again, and anytime you ever want to hear it, I will let you know. The most fun I've ever had watching any movie in any cinema ever was going to the Smokey and the Bandit Fathom event. It was the most fun I've ever had.
Here, pour me a little of that Coors.
I took my my parents with me to watch Smokey and the Bandit.
Thank you.
And my mom, who's known me my whole life, told me that she's never seen me as happy as she saw me while I was watching Smokey and the Bandit for like the 500th time, but it was in the movie theater. And my smile was ear to ear the entire time. I've never had as much fun in my life as I had watching Smokey and the Bandit for the 8 millionth time.
And then
in the movie theater.
And then it again manifested while we saw Joe Bob Briggs. Really, really cool stuff. We got a poster signed. He signed it to us, his fellow drive-in hosts,
and Darcy,
and Darcy,
yeah.
And so I'm gonna get that framed. We're gonna add it here in the Speaker Lab studio. So, but anyway, let's talk about the next movie that we I didn't see, but the Grip saw. So let's talk about a little bit of Midway.
Yeah, speaking of history and education, just in time for Veterans Day.
Usually, I don't attribute anything by Roland Emmerich in the world of history or education.
Ooh, I watched an interview with him where he said this movie was a challenge for him because it was the very first movie he's ever done where he cannot change the ending.
I know, and he can't just like blow up the White House because he thought it looked cool.
But it did, because Independence Day was sick.
Yeah.
Not
the sequel.
So this one, just in time for Veterans Day, you have the new incarnation of Midway. It has been a movie before. I mean, the battle's been featured in several movies, but this one just focused primarily on it getting to that point.
There was a 1976
with Charlton Heston.
Yep.
And
John Williams. That's actually a pretty good score.
John Williams did the movie for it, the music for it. It was nothing but a who's who of actors in that movie, because you had Charlton Heston, you had everyone's leaving me now. Help me out here.
James Coburn was in it.
Henry James
Fonda?
Coburn had like an appearance. Henry Fonda was Nimitz. And Glenn Ford.
Toshiro Mifune was in that one.
Yeah, Toshiro
That's right.
Mifune
I remember
was.
that.
But he was the Japanese commander. And
Dude, Toshiro
you also
Mifune.
had guys like lots of famous
Robert
Japanese.
Mitchum.
Who was a feature of Joe Bob Briggs' lecture there too. But it nothing but famous actors. And this one was not so much
you had Woody
who's who
Harrelson
list of that.
Patrick Wilson.
Which Woody Harrelson looked exactly
Mandy
like
Moore.
Nimitz. But
Dennis Quaid, Aaron Eckhart.
so in the 70s version,
Nick Jonas.
you had Charlton Heston, and he was playing a fictional character who had a son, and they were one of the focal points of the movie, his son being a fighter pilot, and him himself being a former pilot, but now in a command position. And they went through the difficulties of like Japanese internment in the U.S., and then it started with Doolittle's Run, which was the launch that...
Were there talking animals there?
No, dude, come on, this is real history right now. Unreal. See, this is my theater.
Theater face.
Yeah, but
Dude,
no,
shut up, no jokes.
Doolittle's Run was the first attack on Japanese soil. It was American bombers from the Army Air Corps launched from aircraft carrier who dropped bombs on Tokyo, and it was a big part of the war.
So hey,
it was featured at the end of the Pearl Harbor
shout
movie.
outs to Veterans Day, by the way.
And
tuned in on Facebook.
Adam on there.
My father's tuned in this week, and he was in the Navy.
Yeah, and Adam, one of our viewers who commented earlier.
And Adam's tuned in, and he's also a veteran. Shout outs to our veteran viewers. Thank you for your service.
Yeah, but in the previous one, it had focus on fictional characters, and they went through everything from Doolittle's Run to the end of the Battle of Midway, which saw the sinking of 4 Japanese aircraft carriers and America evening the score and really turning the war in the Pacific. This movie starts with Pearl Harbor, and it features nothing but real figures in history. So every main character in the movie was a real enlisted soldier or officer in the military that was featured in these battles. So they never put them in a battle or situation that they weren't actually involved in. And at the end of the movie, you get to see really the true story of them. And it kind of focused on the code breakers that were able to determine where the attack was going to be, so that they could set their troops and naval forces in place for the Battle of Midway. And you kind of saw the difficulties of that, given that, as has been seen recently, in part thanks to Edwin Layton, one of the real people that participated in all this. He released a book about this, but that Pearl Harbor was something that could have been prevented, but a lot of people didn't want to see it that way. Didn't help that the Japanese were involved in peace talks in Washington, D.C. at the very same moment that Pearl Harbor was being attacked, and they didn't find out until the Japanese walked out of the White House and hopped aboard their plane to leave that they had just declared war on the United States. So that's awkward. But you get to see the difficulties of the officers trying to push for making the right decisions, and the struggle they have with, is this going to be right? And all of the fighters involved in that. And but they're real human beings. They're real people. And so you don't have so much of characters and they're like, well, this is what the character would do, and it's character driven. It's real people who had to make real decisions and were involved in a real situation of war.
So Johnny Dalton here saying on YouTube, he said at his theater they had veterans crying at the end of the movie in his theater, and it was a kind of an awesome experience for him.
It's definitely not going to be something that's going to win visual or, unfortunately, audio awards. War movies are always good for audio. But
and it's really hard. It's really, I mean, speaking from an audio standpoint, like you need recreating that.
One's like naval battles, so it's not as easy as maybe like infantry with like, what was the one that Mel Gibson directed about the Seventh-day Adventists? You know what I'm talking about. I can't think of. I've thought of all the other stuff earlier. I lost all my real history. But you get to see all of these people that really participated in these battles, and everything that was involved with that, and shell shock setting in with some of them, and kind of like the difficulties and horrors of war. And unfortunately, unlike the 70s version, where real film could be integrated into it without much of a scene there to separate it. This one has to be full CG because all of the ships are decommissioned, so all of the planes are non-existent.
The question I kind of had for you, because I haven't seen it yet, is, Roland Emmerich, what I'm hearing here is, this guy is no stranger to big over-the-top CGI, big over-the-top weird production of things blowing up, battles and all that stuff. But he's never really had to deal with constraints of reality.
Right.
And so this is his first movie where, like you said, that he has to kind of not go over the top with, a giant lizard can't fly out of the ocean and shoot laser beams and blow a thing up. So, but he has the technical prowess to make that look realistic. So how did that work?
And he does, and he adheres to it really well. And I mean, people that are saying that there were people weeping in the theater and things like that. It was an emotional experience. So I mean, you don't have to have the best audio or video there to really capture that, because this is still real experiences, and so it captures a lot of emotion there for you to feel and be involved in this battle in a way that no one's ever been able to be before. So it's very good, and it is in fact somewhat educational for sure, because the facts are there. The dialogue might not all be 100%, but it fits in with the situations and the true to life people. And I watched this with my dad, who I go to all my war movies with, because he is a giant war buff. And I myself went to school for history, several degrees in that. So we watched that together, and we talked about like the real history and real things that would happen and stuff like that. Everything is spot on, everything with the planes, ammunition, the armaments, and all of the naval ships and aircraft involved in the battles are all accurate. Everything is there as it should be. And you even get to see after Doolittle's run, when they land in Japanese-occupied China, the horrors that Japan unleashed upon Chinese people. And you get to see him, and Aaron Eckhart's character, Doolittle, he's like, why are they bombing civilians who are just escaping? And they said people are the targets. And you get to be in situations like that in a way that only people who have been in those before get to be. So I mean, it's a very factual and puts you inside of it. So somewhat emotional movie for sure. And
Well, it's good to
you
hear
get to
because
experience history.
Roland Emmerich. I mean, we're talking about the guy that did 10,000 BC, Day After Tomorrow, where you could run from cold, and Day After Tomorrow, and White House Down. Pretty crazy to see him moving on. But speaking of Roland Emmerich, this is kind of news. I don't know if you guys know about one of my favorite movies of Roland Emmerich's career is Stargate, which came out in 1994. Of course, sparked the entire franchise of Stargate. Do you know that they have announced he is going to do a remake of Stargate, but it's not going to be as good because it doesn't have Kurt Russell. But he himself is going to redo his own movie. Which I think is actually, I'm okay with a director having a do-over. Like, if you made the original, make the second one. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, Midway sounds like it's actually pretty.
Yeah, I mean, it's
good.
It's very good. It's not like something where you're gonna come up like, oh, it's sick, but it's not designed for that. Also, to that point, they are bringing back the World War One documentary that Peter Jackson did. Fathom Events is bringing that back. I can't remember the name of it.
They shall not be forgotten.
Yeah, They Shall Not Be Forgotten is returning to theater. So if you want to experience that, that's the one that you mentioned when I said something about Midway last week.
Yep.
Where everything is real footage, real photographs, and they lip synced with everyone there and found out who they were, what regiment, unit, everything they belonged to, and found someone from that same place so that every accent was
spot on,
specific to that person. So very good documentary there. But Midway is something where you get to be in it and experience it, and then They Shall Not Grow Old is something where you get to see history and experience it as it was in a time where color and audio were non-existent in photography. So
cool. Well, it is that time of the show. We need to move into the box office roundup. And as we were talking about, I think last week or the week before, Box Office Mojo, which is where I usually get a lot of my data, has changed their format. And IMDb has purchased this thing and has messed it up, made it weird. And they put a lot of this information behind a paywall through their IMDb Pro account. And I realized, because IMDb Pro is expensive, it's like $190 a year. But I was like, wait a second, I have an IMDb Pro account, so I have all the information now. So yeah, this is live, direct, super accurate information. But the box office data is still a little more archaic to get to, but we can do it.
But we're a budget, though.
I mean, I have to click through it, but I can get it. Okay, so here's the deal. Vince over on YouTube said, I keep getting emails begging me to join Pro. Do not do it.
Pro's only worth it if you're featured in IMDb pages, right?
That's right. If you work in the film industry,
worth it because that's your resume.
It's an online resume program. It's like premium LinkedIn. If you do not work in any context of the film industry, do not waste your time with IMDb Pro. It's
not for you.
It doesn't. They're going to try and make it feel like it's for you, but there's no information that's really worth paying for that you can't find in other ways. I mean, yes, it's a nice, cool, easy to find. You can find budget information. You can find production dates.
I'm going to get all those times I was a PA, put on movies and TV shows.
Yeah.
I'm going to get my Brahms commercial I was in.
Oh, look out. Grip. But I have IMDb Pro, so if there's anything that you want to know that I can access through IMDb Pro, if you want to get, Matt Damon's agent's number, let me know. I got IMDb Pro. So there we go. And Vince, does the adult film industry count as the film industry? He says over on YouTube. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, it is the film industry. It's a little more DIY, but we'll see. Yeah. But it is time for the box office roundup. We're going to do the last weekend that came out. We usually go for the top 10 movies in America from the last weekend's performance. We do domestic numbers only because that's where they greenlight things. And we're going to talk to you about those those lineups. And if you do Fantasy Movie League, or if you do, the interesting thing about the box office, one of the reasons we do it is, again, like we say, movies making money equals more movies, more sequels, more whatever.
As we say.
The
hardest to remember catchphrase.
But the thing that we also say is a movie's performance in the box office is not indicative of how good that movie is. But we want you to know if a movie's doing well or if it's not doing well. If a movie's not doing well, go see it, especially if it's good.
Wasn't Big Trouble in Little China like not a successful movie?
Oh, no, it didn't make any money.
Well, look at that now.
Yeah, dude, I think I have a...
That was like the first like not successful movie I could think of. You looking for the comic book?
No, I'm looking for my iPad.
We got that old Jack Burton meets Snake Plissken comic book.
Oh, I know, it's super tight. Anyway, we're gonna go through top 10 movies in America. Here we go. Starting with number 10, The Addams Family from United Artists Releasing, coming in with $4.1 million this weekend in its 5th weekend release, bringing it up to $91.4 million in the box office. It is getting greenlit for a sequel. Will probably come out next Halloween. I'm sure it won't be very good. It'll be rushed. It'll be hurried. That's how sequels generally tend to be. Number 9, Zombieland Double Tap. Speaking of sequels, this one, of course, 10 years later, from Sony Pictures, bringing in $4.3 million in its 4th weekend release, bringing its total domestic gross up to $66.6 million, doing very well because it did not have a humongous budget. I think it was maybe a $70 million budget. The domestic gross, of course, not super indicative of its total performance. I think they wanted it to do more, accumulate more money domestically, but it did very, very well overseas. Number 8, Harriet from Focus, bringing in $7.4 million in its 2nd weekend release, bringing in $23.6 million in its so far 2 weekends at the box office, doing better than I think they thought it was going to do, but a significant drop from last week. Number 7, Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, hanging in there for a 4th week from Disney, bringing in $8.4 million in its 4th week, $97.7 million in the domestic totals. I think that is also less than they expected to because they spent more money on it. A big budgeting.
When it was like, bam, number 1.
Yeah, and then
first week of release.
Bam, number 7. Number 6, Joker from Warner Brothers with another $9.2 million in its 6th weekend release, putting it up as the most profitable comic book movie ever made. Bringing in $313 million domestically at the box office.
Hold on.
But its budget was only like 40-something
There's
million.
a lot of movies that are comic book movies that people don't realize are comic book movies.
Oh, they did the research.
Like Men in Black's comic book movie.
It's comic. But so most successful, again, it's net profit. So if the movie, Men in Black has always been over $100 million to make those things. Avengers, maybe it was like $300 million to make the last Avengers movie, one of the most expensive movies ever. But Joker was like $40 million. And in terms of comic book movies, that would be a shoestring budget, even though a shoestring budget is usually $2 million or less. But Joker is breaking all of these things. $313 domestic. It's I think it's in the $1 billion club at this point. Actually, I can look that up if I just do a little right clicking.
The Mask was a comic book movie,
but it didn't make $1 billion. Let's see. It had.
I think a Mask is one of those.
It had a budget of $55 million. The gross U.S. is 315. Worldwide is 988 million, so it is well into the $1 billion club, not even counting the domestic totals. So it is doing just fine. We are going to see more of those movies. Hopefully DC will understand where it's going. I think from the performance of season 2 of Titans showing titties and all,
Who's titties?
There are titties in
Raven?
Teen Titans. It's not Raven's titties.
Wow.
That would just be uncouth, sir. But there is violence.
Robin?
There is F words. They like
Swamp Thing.
He murks a whole bunch of dudes in a lot of...
Does he have like...
No, he doesn't have...
Drug nipples this time?
No, he doesn't.
Because he has a dick made out of drugs that he feeds Heather Locklear.
That's in Swamp Thing 2.
Yeah, it's a real thing in movies, y'all.
Google it. But no, Titans season 2.
Can I just find a way to put that in every TV show, like every episode
episode
we run? It's like, hey, by the way, did you know in Swamp Thing
Did
2,
you know?
he snaps his dick off and feeds it to Heather Locklear, and then
she
she
gets
imagines
high.
him in his boxers.
Yeah, dude. But Titans, man, if you have not been watching Titans, the show is good. Nightwing is going to come. We're going to see Nightwing.
If you've never seen Swamp Thing 2 with drug sex dick, watch that.
Watch Nightwing. This season 1 and season 2 of Titans is the Nightwing origin story that we always wanted and is now happening.
No, you can't do that, because that means if they're having like TDs and things out there, then they're going to show the rest of Nightwing stuff where he's thrown to the ground and has his back broken and he's forcibly raped by tarantula.
That might happen.
No, Dick Grayson, no.
It might happen. We don't know. All right, number 5, Terminator Dark Fate from Paramount Pictures, bringing in $10.8 million in its second weekend release. Total domestic gross of $48.4 million. Set to lose $100 million.
Good. That movie sucks. So.
It was okay. It was okay. You can check out our argument about it on the last episode of the Drive-In Speakerbox. Just rewind. Check out last week. You can find it wherever you find your podcasts or on our Facebook or YouTube.
There is another YouTube channel, if you're like a big sci-fi fan, Star Trek and things like that, called Generation Films. They have an episode where they go through every Terminator there's ever been in comics, movies, TV shows, and novels, except for this new movie. And you're like, yeah, oh, these are so cool. And then you're like, well, what happened when you watch this one?
All right. Number 4, Last Christmas, opening up at the number 4 spot from Universal Pictures, bringing in $11.4 million in its opening weekend. Number 3.
Hold up. Terminator trailer also lies to you. Fuck that movie.
Okay. Number 3, Playing with Fire from Paramount, bringing in $12.7 million in its opening weekend. Number 2, Dr. Sleep from Warner Brothers, bringing in $14.1 million in its opening weekend. Not a good opening for Dr. Sleep. And let me pull up the old box office. Not a whole lot of good opening weekends this weekend. Dr. Sleep had a budget of $45 million. And the number 1 movie in America, Midway, which we just talked about, had a budget of $100 million. And, that's a big old budget there. And it opened up with $17.8 million this weekend.
You know what else was fun in Midway that I didn't get to mention is that you get to see John Ford on Midway, famous director John Ford, who collaborated with John Wayne quite a bit, extremely famous director. He took it upon himself to take a camera, go to the island of Midway, and film battle footage in the middle of a real battle with planes strafing him and ships shooting at him and soldiers coming at him and everything like that. You get to see that in the movie too, which was kind of cool, to see like the actual insanity that John Ford put himself in the middle of to capture real war footage. And there's a 20-minute mini documentary that he made from all of that footage that he captured called The Battle of Midway, that was shown before movies, at the time and things like that. So very good. You get to see that, and you can actually watch that documentary on Netflix right now. So,
all right. Well, if you haven't all defected to Disney Plus by now, there's still stuff to see on Netflix. But anyway, that's our show. We are done. We hit the box office roundup. It is right on the money mark. We are going to get out of here and brave this cold. And it is sub-zero outside. It is getting pretty chilly here in the studio because we turn off all the heat because we don't want that sound to interrupt our podcast. So we're sitting here in the chilly, chilly cold. But thanks for tuning in. Find us on Facebook. Find us on YouTube. www.eitherofthose.com/The Drive-In Speakerbox, and download this podcast where you find your podcast: Spotify, Google Music, Apple Podcasts, wherever. Tell your friends, share it. I'm the boom operator.
I'm the grip.
We'll see you next week.